This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper, Goren, Holm, or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
I'm bringing out the entire bottle of Patron.
They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow.
Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado,
cheers to you, brother.
Get shit done.
Because the system has to collapse before that.
our Corona.
Cheers, I feel much better now.
Cheers.
Wow, that was heavy. Yo, Boozer Nation. Welcome to session 61 of Blockchain and Booze. Every week that goes by, I feel like we're getting deeper and deeper into quarantine vibes, and I'm really excited that Miami Blockchain Week is happening. In less than a week, about a week, so I can see everybody that we've been hanging out with online. For those who are tuning in to the live stream on Twitter, welcome to Blockchain and Booze. This is probably your first Blockchain and Booze. Cheers to you. For those who might be confused and seeing a live stream on LunarCRUSH's feed, my name is Adam. I'm the ops manager at Draper, Goren, Holm, and I'm the host of Blockchain and Booze, a really fun weekly hangout and an unconventional look into blockchain where I interview the top people in crypto and chat with them over a drink in front of a live global audience. And if this is your first time, go hang out with that live global audience. Go to meet.blockchainbooze.io, meet.blockchainbooze.io. You'll hear me say that a ton throughout the stream because, well, people are watching live. They're drinking live. I'm drinking right now, a Moscow Mule. Cheers to everybody that's tuning in. And let's just get right to it. So today's session, we're talking about LunarCRUSH, mainly because, well, we're doing a brand new media partnership in an effort to spread blockchain and booze to more and more communities. We're now tapping into LunarCRUSH and the awesome community that it's built, recently crossing 100,000 followers on Twitter. So congrats to them. And we're trying to bring more original content, more fun stuff to you guys. And here's Blockchain and Booze. So without further ado, let me bring up the LunarCRUSH gang themselves. So we got Joe Vezzani, we got John Farjo, and we got the gangster Alon.
Oh my god!
What is? How come you have so much LunarCRUSH merch? You're muted, by the way.
Sorry, I had a quarter of a drink.
I'm gonna toast to that.
Awesome
Cheers.
intro,
Cheers.
Adam.
Doesn't it look like I'm wearing like my dad's hat or my big brother's hat right now? Like this hat is way
Definitely
too big
doesn't
for
fit
my
the
head.
head size there.
Alon, you know what you got to do? You got to
I
get a
could do one of those
LunarCRUSH
that wears the
tattoo
hat
right here.
over your ears, you know, like fully pull it down.
I kind of like it.
I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. It's not your fit. But you know what you should do? You know how people get like a teardrop here? You should get like the LunarCRUSH rocket underneath your eye.
All right.
If you show up
How
with a
many
LunarCRUSH tattoo,
retweets? How many
would be very
retweets? How many retweets do we need?
Does anyone yet have a LunarCRUSH tattoo?
no comment.
Oh, wow.
All right, we're gonna have to think about this.
First person to get one
becomes a $10 billion company, like a decacorn or something. What is it? Not a unicorn.
I'll do it then, Alon, and that would be
Okay. We'll go. I'll meet you at the tattoo parlor. We're both doing it.
No, I think we should both give each other the tip.
Oh, even better.
Live on Blockchain and Booze. Guys, welcome. It's our first official media partnership collab. We're live streaming on LunarCRUSH. I couldn't be more excited. I love LunarCRUSH so much, and I've been wanting to do a collab with you guys for the longest time. You guys have been guests. John, you're a featured person on the intro reel, and you have been for the last how many sessions. So I'm really excited to get this. Cheers. Welcome to the Boozer Nation, as I like to say.
You see how fancy Adam has gotten, by the way? He got a dedicated actual like copper cup for his cocktail. I like it.
Yeah. You should see. I have a friend that has been watching Blockchain and Booze, like a close friend of mine that bought me a Blockchain and Booze apron. He got me a Blockchain and Booze mug with my face on it, and just pimped me out with Blockchain and Booze merch. Maybe we got to do a collab with Meta Factory at some point and get some Blockchain and Booze stuff out there. But enough banter. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's discussion. I titled it "LunarCRUSHing Companies" for one obvious reason. You guys have seen what we've been through, the bloodbath that we've been through, the last 5-7 days, and what that was like, and the news outlets kind of preaching that Bitcoin's dead again for like the bazillionth time, and crypto's dead, and then Monday comes and we see this crazy uptick. So I'm bringing you guys up for one obvious reason. You guys have some of the best data in crypto, and I want to hear why. So what the hell happened this last few days, and what's up with all this activity? What's up with all this craziness?
I don't know where to start even, the last 10 days, but I do want to start by saying I'm super excited that, you're going to be hosting this. And, I think when who would have known when you started this thing back when all of COVID started that it would turn into what it's turned into. And so you've had some amazing guests like Mark Cuban, and I know Gary Vee is going to be on here at some point, but no, man, just congrats on all of it. Happy to be hosting it for you guys going forward. And I mean, it's, the part of it is, what happens to the world now that people might be getting out a little bit, at least here in the US. I think we've been pretty fortunate. And so, but what a fun place to come on a Tuesday night and get together the community and everything else. So super excited for it, man.
Thank you.
For sure. And yeah, and John and I were talking on a Zoom earlier, and we were like, man, we didn't even really have an opportunity because I was out of town all last week to really talk about, what was going on. And what had happened, and our dear friend Mr. Alon just tossing grenades over the fence at us, and maybe like hopping on one randomly for some reason. But having been someone that's followed Elon for like many years now, it definitely seemed like a little out of character for him. It's like whenever there's a problem out in the world, right? Like Hyperloop. Here's how I would solve that. Right? Like miners stuck, in a cave. Here's how I would solve that. It was never like, hey, look at this problem. And that's the end of the conversation. It was always kind of followed with something. So I felt like it was a lot of character, which is interesting. But that being said, I think a bigger thing and a bigger statement, if it was truly, the way that they felt, it would have been like, hey, we sold our entire Bitcoin position and we're moving into other things, whether it be Dogecoin or something else, or we're going to invent our own, you name it. It sounds like, he had met with Michael Saylor and had met with, kind of a smaller council of people that are probably just having hopefully healthy conversations about, energy and what's going to happen with that. And so, I think it's a good thing for the market all in all. It's, I don't think it was part of, Satoshi's vision, whether or not who would have known if he, them, her, or they had any sort of vision outside of this shit's cool. But it's, it was kind of written in that first block, right? Like it's supposed to be knocking like the centralization off a totem pole. And maybe, who knows, maybe Elon's smarter than all of us. And he had to, in a weird way, take himself off the totem pole because lo and behold, there's more tweets going out and less market volatility. So all in all, I think it's a good thing, but I'll let John say his piece.
I mean, I want to go on record just to say that I don't buy what he's doing for a moment. He's a master. He's a master manipulator of social media. I want to give an example of that. So I was on a Twitter space yesterday, happened to be about Dogecoin. I think it was the largest space that I've seen so far. There was over 11,000 people. Elon drops in, and people noticed, start tweeting it. 10 seconds later, it was actually trending on Twitter, like just a few seconds later, just because he dropped into a room.
Wow.
So on one hand, I think what we're witnessing is like the one individual that knows how to solve any sort of green energy debate and could actually make it happen is the one complaining about it. And I think you have to ask yourself why. So I don't buy it for that reason. If this was someone else that was another billionaire that didn't have, power walls and solar and a network of mobile miners, also known as Tesla vehicles, I might believe them. If it was someone that wasn't the third richest person in the world talking about Dogecoin and Bitcoin and dropping into Twitter rooms, Twitter Spaces, I might not. I might believe them. I think that there's something else going on here, and I think he's laying a foundation for it. But that's all pure speculation. On the other hand, I think I've said it in 5 or 6 of our tweets recently to zoom out. And what I mean by that is, we as an industry, we've become far too minute by minute. Nothing's built minute by minute, and even if it is, you don't even know if it works yet. So when we zoom out and we see just where we've come from and where we are now, we've seen massive growth. I mean, massive, whether it's price or community. If we were talking a year ago versus today, I mean, huge growth. So I think you have to expect that you're going to see volatility like this. I think the community has gotten a little bit ahead of itself. And a little too bullish, a little too kind of exuberant across the board, like way too little focus on actual solving of problems in utility, and you're going to get volatility. And you know what? On the flip side is, one person could say that, oh, I got wrecked and I lost all this money. Volatility is why it went up in the first place. Volatility is what creates the next leg of the market and shakes out the nonsense at the same time. So I think, look, like I say to everyone that hasn't been through what we've been through in the last week, welcome to crypto. If you've been here a few years, you've been through it multiple times. This is normal. Get used to it. Take advantage of it. Don't panic and sell at the bottom. Take advantage and have conviction on your positions. Stop trading hour by hour on nothing.
It's funny you mentioned that, because like zooming out right now, okay, I met up with a couple friends this week for lunch, or actually last week for lunch, and she got into day trading during the bull market. So she's never really seen a bear market or insane volatility like we saw the last few days, right? The last few months, it's only been up at levels like we've never really seen before. And now here she is experiencing somewhat of a bear market, or like a big like hit to the face, and her losing her entire portfolio in a or like half or 80% of her portfolio in a matter of hours, right? And she messages me. She's like, "What the hell just happened? This was not part of the plan that I joined and I signed up for."
Well, I think most people who trade, aren't as successful. Like, I think it's something like, I forgot, I saw some statistics, who knows if it's made up or real, but something like 90% of the people who are active traders do not beat the market if you just were to have just gone along with the market. You just held Bitcoin and Ethereum. And look, if you held Ethereum for 1 year, you're up over 1,000% right now, right? More than 10x. So, and that was the days after the huge drop, right? So again, zoom out, and if you haven't been a part of it, it really sucks, because a part of me, there's people making funny jokes about it, but it really does suck for our friends who are traders, who do use leverage and things like that. Like they're really getting destroyed. It's real, right?
Look, I'll say this. I interviewed this guy, Squish, he goes by on Twitter, in a Twitter space. And he put together this report, the 77-page report on why Ethereum will go through a triple halving in the next 18 months, with ETH hitting a base layer of anywhere between 30 to 50K. And then if like we're really doing well, like 150K, okay? That's what he's expecting to happen in the next 18 months, because ETH hasn't really hit its narrative and hasn't really detached itself from BTC's action. Plus, the mainstream media hasn't really gotten on top of DeFi quite yet. And there's a lot of the integration between what is it, E1559, right, and all that stuff. But the point being is that I brought up that whole point. It's like, look what Elon's doing to the market. And he actually brought up a good point. He said, well, it's not only Elon, right? There was another incident that happened that kind of went viral or trending, of this somewhat blurry screenshot from a forum who claims to be like an inside trader on the Asian side of things, right? From one of these big firms saying, warning the markets. Like, and I'm a bit skeptical, because also it was a blurry screenshot, right? And like, how we have like such up-to-date technology, like how is something so blurry and that's so convincing? And I don't know, just more banter. But John,
really quickly though, so often people literally just point like the market dumps and then they look for reasons why it dumped.
Right.
And sometimes it's some stupid shit article on a crappy website that clearly had nothing to do with it, but they like people want to point. It's like people who get in a car accident or they get a disease, something horrible happens and they try to find the reason. And most of the time there isn't a reason. Right, it just shit happens, right? Or like there isn't a reason that's obvious. Like some one single billionaire dumps their token and everyone freaks out, right? So something happens.
So I wanna share my screen really quick. John, you tweeted something interesting. What is it? A couple days ago. About replying to one of Elon Musk's tweets. And I had to bring it up because it actually made me think for a minute. So this one's from at John Farjo, okay? From the future, ... at Tesla converts solar plus Powerwalls into Bitcoin miners and adds a mining software update to their vehicles, both owners and Tesla profits. Tesla becomes the largest BTC miner and hodler in the world while simultaneously eliminating the green energy debate. Do you believe that?
So to a degree, this is speculation, obviously.
Right.
But
Right.
I think if you put it, tell me someone else that could put the puzzle pieces together, other than Elon, and it doesn't exist. And the crazy thing is, if you go back a little bit to a little while ago. I mean, I think we were supposed to have fully self-driving in the Teslas by now. I don't even know where we're at with that. But the whole idea there was going to be, there was speculation about an Uber-like network for Tesla owners, that they could lease out their car, let it drive on its own and take people around, right? And you could profit off of loaning your car out into this network. So if you think about that, the whole idea there was to give owners revenue, right? So your car becomes not only free, it becomes revenue producing to you. This is just another way to do that in the background. And if you think about it, it's not really a stretch. This is all possible. This is not easy, but this is all possible. And I think it's going to be interesting. And I'm still going to come back to why is he meeting with Bitcoin miners? Why does he even care if this isn't remotely in the ballpark? Why is he dropping into Dogecoin, forums and why is he like doing a Doge launch to the moon? I think, we're not talking about Jeff Bezos doing any of this. We're not talking about any billionaire doing this. So I think it's an interesting discussion. But again, this is all just fun and speculation. I'm not going to, I have no insider information.
Company, just a shout out. I have no idea where they're at, but a few years ago, I remember spending a good amount of time with this entrepreneur who's really smart named Raul, based in Los Angeles. They had a company called Tesloop that was sort of doing exactly what you were saying, but as a third-party service. Basically, you would sign up as a Tesla owner and allow people to just jump in your car and borrow it for the day while you're sitting at work, right? Like your car is just literally sitting there, and it was a way to basically make get a Tesla, but have it actually earn you revenue while you were at work, right? You could work with any car, but with Teslas, you could track it, you could trace it, you can govern the speed, you could do all sorts of things electronically that make it easier to do these kind of things. It's pretty cool.
This is if we were talking proof of stake, this is no different than a node on a proof of stake network. This is exactly what they're doing. They're providing hardware and software, getting a reward for doing that, for securing the network. There's no difference. It's just a matter of building the infrastructure to do that at a different kind of scale that we've never seen before. That's probably not very easy, but impossible? Absolutely not.
It reminds me a lot of this. It's not a new project, but I came across it through my friends who told me about it, and it was trending on TikTok for a bit. Helium and the Helium network, and basically placing these Helium hardware devices in your house to create and bridge connectivity, and then they reward you for bridging that connectivity with tokens. And he's going to be on in a couple of weeks, so it's going to be interesting. But I think it all kind of ties in together. But enough about that. Let's go back to the market for a minute, okay? I want to see some interesting data in terms of conversations that happened around that time. If you guys saw anything different because we had a lot of new users, we had a lot of newcomers. You guys probably picked up a lot of new data. I'd maybe even argue from accounts that haven't necessarily conversated around certain tickers. And I only push that narrative because with Elon Musk's crazy tweets brings in a lot of new amateurs and a lot of shit coiners into the mix. So I'm wondering, were there any new type of conversations happening around certain tickers that kind of sparked your interest, your attention during these last few days?
So if we're saying, let's kind of back up outside of, let me share my screen here. Let's back outside of conversations, specific conversations.
Okay.
I mean, the last few days, if I got this up here, if I showed you this sentiment here, like we do these kinds of surveys on our own Twitter quite a bit. And this is the most bearish we've ever seen. It's also, yeah, it was literally 2:46 a.m. on May 23rd. And so that was the most bearish we've ever seen. This was literally inverse of what we always see. So people were feeling wrecked. That's because there's a lot of new people in the market. That's a big piece of it. But I think, again, back to the zooming out topic here, this is 2 years. So this is 2 years of social volume. And you kind of see where we are versus where we were 2 years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah. If you look at this number right here, which is, we had 2 million for the first time ever, 2 million posts across the market, social mentions. Some days you're on your Twitter feed and it feels like that's every day. But 2 million posts over that day on May 12th. That seems like a year ago, but that was only 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago.
That's insane.
It is. And when you're seeing that kind of activity, that's coming from a lot of new people. And when we look at that on, say, Bitcoin, I'm just going to look at Bitcoin over the last, you know what, let's look at 2 years. Why not on Bitcoin? Let's let that load for a second. So in fact, I do want to look at 1 year. If we look at 1 year on Bitcoin specifically, we're not even at the high. I mean, the high happened back here on February 19th, where we had over 1 million Bitcoin posts. And what's happened is, well, what's happened between then and now? We've seen the rise of meme tokens. We've seen Wall Street bets transfer right into coins like Dogecoin.
Mm-hmm.
And where Dogecoin didn't even have any, I don't want to say any, very, very little volume prior to this year. We're talking really, really small. In fact, I've got that here. This is year to date Dogecoin, January 1 to today. And what's really interesting is when you look at this, and you go, okay, so we had this big spike back in January 28th here, where we had just about 1 million Dogecoin mentions. Let me zoom out so I can show you that one. Let's look at a year ago. Okay, this was Doge a year ago.
That's crazy.
That's talking
crazy.
Yes, and so these big spikes that were back in here, we're talking, this was like 51,000. We had another one that was 31,000. And every time, you guys probably remember, every time this happened, we had these 1 or 2 day spikes in Doge and then died.
Mm-hmm.
And the spike was up to a penny, maybe. Never even hit a penny, did it?
Let's zoom in here. This was
no,
not even a penny. Half a penny.
Crazy.
And
that's
so when that
that's
happened,
that's why we told everyone don't buy Doge.
Right. And that actually created that narrative of super skepticism of everyone that's been here for longer than a year, right? And that wrecked feeling on people that may have gotten it at the top created opportunity for new people. And so lose your money, sit here for months and months watching other coins go up, right? Then all of a sudden, we had January 1. Let me just zoom into that. January 1 hits, we had a spike, and it was oh my gosh, that's crazy, right? And this happened. And what was this? Well, I have in another tab here, because we don't have stocks on our platform at this point, at least. Does this look familiar? GameStop.
Yeah.
Look at these dates. GameStop, it hit its high on January 27th. And we had this big rise here, fell, and then we have this sustained thing, and now it's breaking out again. So that's an interesting thing. We've got Doge, had this huge rise, same exact time frame in both social and market activity, fell for a bit, and now we have this sustained community that is ultra passionate now.
Crazy.
And they want to build. So this narrative of Doge doesn't do anything. Why would you buy that? It's just a meme token. Now you've got a community that's trying to build. And when we back up to when we look at metrics like this is global social volume. If I just look at 6 months, and again, it didn't register in the top 10 at all, ever until this year. When I just load the top coins, there we are at number 2. So it's like, where did that volume come from? Well, we've got this shift out of the major caps, and then we've got things like Dogecoin, higher than Ethereum, SafeMoon, PancakeSwap. None of this existed. Cardano's come up a lot, a ton, and it's performed really well. XRP maintained, Chainlink maintained. Things like Polka Starter rose a lot because they built a great ecosystem. Shiba Inu, that's newer and it's coming up. So half of this wasn't even on the radar a little bit ago, and now it is. And it's not about sentiment. It's not about love or hate. It's just there. So
it's crazy.
That's the backdrop. So when you see that, yeah, you're going to get volatility. You're going to get a lot of it. So it's where we're at today. That combined with people like Elon that have a lot of power and they make big statements about things like Bitcoin.
Yeah, that absolutely blows my mind. Like, I remember when I joined in late 2017, early 18, we would hear of Doge and we'd get laughed at, right? Like we said, now the fact that it has the face of the third richest man in the world, right? Or probably one of the more powerful people like ever, right? Supporting this, putting a cult following to it, brings it to a whole nother level. And now there's a group of people of somewhat amateurs that are now passionate about it and want to build on top of it. Even though is there a Doge development team? Like, that's a meme within itself, isn't it?
They're
like, how do you build, like, you know?
No, that's a great summary, John. And it's like, you know, we've been in a lot of the Twitter spaces with the Doge community, and you know, I was talking to some last night, and they, like, if you drop the word Mount Gox in like one of those spaces, they have no idea what you're talking about, right? These people don't have the same kind of memories, and they've got this fresh mentality. And whether or not it's Doge that brought them in, or SafeMoon that's brought them in, or whatever it may be, a percentage of these people are going to start building, right? And they've got the bug, right? And so it's like, whether or not, you know, and I could see like some of the folks that are building these layer ones are probably like, this is bad for crypto, this is terrible. It's like, sure, like there's going to be these kind of pumps that happen, and that's, you know, but no different than what used to happen with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin used to be the most centralized coin and the only coin on the planet. It was one person, then 2, then 3. Now look where we're at. And it kind of goes back to the mantra that we've always said, like, without a community, there's no crypto. People go and they build audiences and they build brands first now, right? And you're just kind of seeing the next generation of that, where it's like, maybe back, you know, 10 years ago, it's like, what, you know, people would be like, oh, you got to get the product out. Then I need the social media channel. Then maybe I need a couple other things. Now people, and they go kind of test out markets early. Hey, if what am I putting into the universe? Do people like that? Are they gravitating towards it? And then you go and you try to build a product around that brand that you've kind of started. And we're just seeing it happen in real time. And these are just companies, right? And you're going to get the good with the bad. Like, you know, if you haven't been rug pulled once, that means you're not actually true to crypto. You got to get rug pulled to really, you know, get a piece of the action. But it's just people building and growing, and that's kind of why we started LunarCRUSH, right? Create transparency, help protect people. If you are on LunarCRUSH and you saw the Dogecoin spike, you know, everything, obviously we're not giving financial advice, but everything John and I have been saying for the last year and a half, like, if there's a massive spike in something and there is no history whatsoever, you know, you're playing with fire. You just are. And, you know, some of these are going to sustain and kind of continue to move. And, you know, like we always say, most of the cryptocurrencies that exist today are startups, and they probably won't exist in the future, but there are going to be many, many, many more in the future than exist today. And so some of the big ones will be there, but it's just not the same thing. Like, Bitcoin is a completely different thing than everything else. And like, if you're thinking that the world is fine with just only Bitcoin, I'd say that's pretty naive. And I would say, are you that like there's so much more innovation that could happen by solving the double spend problem. You really just want to stop with replacing gold. It's so boring and such a waste of technology. It's outrageous. And so obviously there's a difference between things that are, but people are just trying to build a brand, get out there, get traction. And if they can, they build around it. And Doge is just a like exponential example of that, where it's trying to be replicated thousands of times.
I see Kevin has entered the green room, and I want to get his point of view on what's been going on with Tezos.
Yeah, but let's quickly set the stage, because one of the goofy things we did this time, or we're sort of creating a little bit of a different format today for fun, is that Adam, if you join on Remo, which is what meet.blockchainbooze.io, Adam shared in Remo the link to join on stage. So if you have a question or you're a part of the community where we can ask you a question or two, come up on stage and we'll grab you from down below, or Adam will, and bring you up on the stage for a minute or two, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, get those questions in.
Make sure you have your drink ready.
Yes. All right, let's do it. I'm going to bring up Kevin on stage. Yo, you're muted.
Well, I didn't say anything yet, but thank you.
Yo,
I just checked
welcome.
my rank overall on LunarCRUSH, because I didn't realize I could do that before. So I'm 217. Now, I assume most of those are, though, like, I don't know, you got to take away
You're number one on Tezos, right?
So of human beings.
Actually, that depends how you're looking at it. If you're talking, I'm sure Tezos, considering the backdrop behind you that has the Tezos logo, and we were on a Tezos room earlier. You're actually a number 9 influencer for Tezos over the last year. So
number 9. Well, how much of that is the last 6 months? You gotta, things move quickly, and the bull season is that's when the party happens.
Hold on, somebody asked a question in the QA, and
number
I think
3.
that it's related to this topic. Before we ask Kevin a bunch of messages on questions about Tezos, is Christina asks if the sentiment metrics or trends can move to there it was. She was asking if it could visualize trending Twitter sentiment for things like events. But in my mind, I'm thinking of products that maybe don't have their own token. Like, at what point will I get to be the number 1 LunarCRUSH influencer, even though LunarCRUSH doesn't have a token?
Based on things like events, you're saying?
Well, like, think about, can imagine if you could take the hashtag or information about Miami next week and figure out who the most influential people in Miami are, or something like that. Would be pretty interesting. Or let's say the most influential people in relation to Coinbase, even though they don't have a token, right? Like, it's an interesting thing. They have a public company now, so their stock is essentially very similar. But just an interesting idea. Christina threw that out there. But
no, good suggestion. And all I can say about that is what you're seeing on LunarCRUSH today is probably 1% of the data opportunity that we have to visualize.
It's also, it's one thing to like think about capturing one dimension, and it's another thing to think about capturing a lot of depth. So what I mean by that is, like, there's different platforms, like there's Reddit, there's YouTube, there's Medium, there's all sorts of stuff, right, beyond Twitter, and they all have kind of different, unique user experiences and interaction patterns, and there's different methods for identifying what people are talking about, and there's kind of like many different ways to break that depth down. And so it'd be one thing if we said, yep, we capture every time that someone says, BTC Miami. It's another if we start to say, well, great, but how much depth did those conversations have? Were they truly related to BTC Miami, or were people talking about the beautiful beaches in Miami? Like, there's all sorts of different things to it, and there's really a different pattern. I mean, in theory, we could collect social activity on anything, right?
Yeah.
Except how that is presented and how that manifests itself is actually quite a bit different, especially on the user experience side of things. So yes, you will see us track a lot more things.
It's important to track it at the quality you guys do, because as we've seen with, other products, maybe competitive products, maybe not competitive, is that so many data products just don't capture almost any amount of data. I've looked at random sites and they're like, oh, we track all of the tweets about Bitcoin. And then I look over at LunarCRUSH and you guys literally show 10x, 20x the number of tweets for the same period of time. And I'm like, oh, they don't see shit. They don't even, they see a fraction of what you guys see and analyze. And, actually analyzing all of it, not just a small portion of it, is obviously really, really important. It's just interesting.
I wanna bring up Alina. She's been patiently waiting in the green room. She has some questions too on a part of different communities. Let's do it.
For sure.
Let's do it.
Kevin?
Hello, Alina.
Hey guys, how are you? I don't
Hi,
have
Alina.
my drink in front of me. So I know you guys, I've been at conferences with you. We've met in person, and here's my situation. I've got what Robert Kiyosaki called himself the old guy. He's the old guy. Okay, he's the old finance guy. And he was on a show his name is Robert Breedlove. Do you know him? Robert Breedlove?
Yes.
Okay, Robert Breedlove is a CPA. He deals with high net worth individuals. I could tell right away the guy knows what he's talking about. He's not just some schmucko, okay, with a little coin. He knows he's a heavy guy, heavy hitter guy. And they had a conversation, the old guy with the younger guy. And Robert Breedlove made the prediction that Bitcoin is going to disintermediate, is going to disrupt the United States dollar by 5-10 years. That's it. We're going to have an international currency. This is based on a conversation between these two men, both of whom I find credible. This is for your audience. I'm assuming this will be recorded, broadcasted. Just to give you my credentials, I'm an attorney. So I got a background in securities law. I speak 6 languages. My grandfather used to run a country. Okay. And I'm sitting here watching what's going on. Listen, I'm not nobody. I'm somebody. Okay. And my family is somebody. We've lived in 8 countries in the last 8 generations.
Wow.
We're now in the United States of America. I'm a Gen Zero immigrant. English is my 3rd language, by the way. Spanish is my 4th. You can't tell, can you? So I'm watching all this stuff. And I'm also the COVID DJ. I'm known on Facebook. Anyway, that's a different story. The point I'm trying to kind of make here is that you've got this generational issue. I'm sitting here talking to extremely high-level people. You would know who they are. And I'm trying to explain to them this whole phenomenon because they're just sitting there going, what the heck is going on? What just happened in a year? And I sit down and I analyze it for them in a very serious manner. I know how investors, I was a banker. I know how investors think in a serious manner. So here's my question to you, all right? How do you relate? Now you're looking at 5 Bitcoin properties that Mr. Breedlove stated. Bitcoin has the following 5 properties, he said, that will not be disrupted. This was what his thesis was in his interview with Kiyosaki. These properties are recognizability. Now, so far, all of you have been talking about recognizability. Events, hoopla, PR, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's called recognizability. But there are 4 other traits of Bitcoin. And I'd like you to discuss this in a serious manner, please. Not like you guys are in a private club, but like everybody else has to understand, because if this is going to disrupt the entire world, this is very serious. Okay.
Well, you're lucky that I think the 4 of us don't talk very differently in private than we do in front of everyone. So.
No, but see, people don't understand. I mean, if there are certain things. Look, I went to MIT. Look, I'm qualified. I understand. I'm looking at the crypto space from the standpoint of a securities lawyer in the traditional lingo. Okay, so this is what Mr. Breedlove said. I'm going to quote you what he said, because he's a CPA, he's in the space, et cetera, et cetera. He advises high net worth individuals to get into Bitcoin. He says that Bitcoin has the following traits: recognizability, which we've already talked about, divisibility, durability, portability, and scarcity, that there is a fixed supply. So can you address those traits, please, just going one by one, just as with regard to Bitcoin, please, because you're all very knowledgeable. Okay, I'm just going to be quiet now. Listen.
So what do you want us to address exactly? Because it makes a lot of sense, right? Like there's not really any way to argue that. per se.
Well, no,
right?
I don't understand how Bitcoin is divisible. So
Okay,
please
so
explain that.
the divisibility part is probably the easiest part to explain, in that you go on Coinbase, and if you want to buy $50 worth of Bitcoin or $1 worth of Bitcoin, you can. So
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
nobody knows that they can buy a portion of Bitcoin. They don't have to have $50,000 or 40,000, whatever one. Okay, perfect. Alon, you've answered
that's crazy important, though. You're absolutely right. A lot of people
they don't know this.
It's why things like XRP, which I don't believe in, and maybe other people that are watching.
We're doing well. This is good. This is going to bring people into the market, because now they understand they can buy a portion of Bitcoin. They don't have to have 50 grand to put in Bitcoin. Perfect. All right, next.
38
durability.
Right.
What's this durability? What is he talking about that it's durable?
I think he's speaking from the point of view of the security behind it. It's durable, right? I mean, I don't know if that's the right word to use per se, but durability meaning its security, the technology, the underlying blockchain that record all the transactions. That's what he's referring to. So the underlying technology and the level of security. That's what he's
touching on.
There's my next question.
He could be touching on liquidity there too, Adam, where he could be thinking, you know, you can move $1 billion, you can move $2 billion, you can move a large subset. That's
portability. I'm not there yet. I'm going to start now digging in on durability. Okay. So now you just created blockchain. We all know what blockchain is. It is a decentralized system that verifies transactions. Here's the question. If you don't have a fiat government with laws that regulate bad behavior, what is the punishment when you have a blockchain currency, a cryptocurrency, okay, when there potentially will be bad behavior by an actor? So that's my question to you. Alon, any of you, please. What's the punishment for bad behavior?
I could start it by saying, you know, we're 10 years into Bitcoin. And at least the U.S. government still hasn't kind of figured out exactly everything. I don't think it's the easiest problem to solve, but I would say, you know, that's why you're seeing the rise of like a DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization where there's voting, right? There could be a utility token, you know, that's used to power some product or, you know, raise money depending on where you're in the world where that's legal. And, you know, then that's why you're seeing the rise of like a governance token, right? And so depending on how much work and effort that you have as a part of that network, you know, you have a vote. And so if, you know, you're part of that network and, you know, maybe you're not acting in the appropriate way. I mean, the cool thing about a blockchain is that everything is recorded.
They kick you out. You know, what you're saying is you get in a DAO, and if you don't behave, you get kicked out.
Yeah, I've actually been a part of DAOs where there's people whose sort of job within the DAO is to keep people accountable, and not necessarily, you know, for people doing things that are illegal, but it's more like, hey, you promised to do X, Y, Z, and for that you're going to earn, you know, whatever. If you're not doing it, they have sort of, you know, people whose their job to get paid by the DAO is to be an enforcer or things like that. But I think when it comes to, you know, normal government rules and regulations, crypto doesn't do it. Crypto actually enhances the ability for governments, for organizations to enforce certain things, right? And when we've had, for example, special agents from different government organizations speak at our events, and I've seen them speak at other events as well, they 100% across the board would rather the criminals that they're going after be transacting in crypto than in the US dollar.
Because they have more information. They got more information in the crypto, right?
More
the information is in the money.
It makes it easier for them to track and trace the criminals, because, you know, it's just, it is what it is. If you see, you know, scams and things like that happen in the crypto space, what you'll find is the smartest people in the world are in the crypto space. And when you crowdsource chasing after these scamsters, they figure it out. They figure out which wallets are doing it, where it's going and what's happening. So the government can do the same. And I think that's why I think most people in the crypto space are proponents to opening up regulation completely, but going after the people who commit fraud, 10x what they're doing now. Throw them all in prison, go crazy, right? Go nuts on the people who are committing real fraud, right?
Who's going to throw them in prison if you don't know where they are?
You
Or
know
how
where
do
they
you
are,
track
though. You know that most of these things are pseudo anonymous, not actually anonymous. There's very few people in the crypto space that are actually anonymous.
Okay, so here's my question. Here's my question. Are these DAOs beholden to fiat governments as
It
to
depends.
all of these things that we're talking about? Is there any kind of legal agreements?
Well, yeah, they're citizens,
yes, no,
they're
maybe.
citizens of certain countries, and they have to legally abide by those countries' rules and laws if they want to not get in trouble with their governments. But what's to say, you know, what exactly is international law in these situations, and what laws are they really breaking? That's the thing that's crazy to me. It's very few of these DAOs. Some of them are defrauding people, or at least at worst, like bait and switch kind of shady, shitty, you know, products on the internet.
Selling an entire marketing wallet.
Yeah, but a lot of these people who participate in these crazy things are gambling themselves and know that this shit is a gamble. It's why I don't participate in a lot of these things, because when something goes up in that kind of way and people are expecting the rug to be pulled at some point, there's somebody who's going to lose on the other side. So every time you make money, somebody else is losing in a way that's not sustainable, right? So there's those kind of things, and you know, that's not the spirit of this industry as a whole. No, that's, you know, pointing at one bad actor versus the rest of the industry.
I know. Look, Alon, I met you. You have events. You guys are all kosher. You're there. You're not hiding anywhere. Pretty clear, right? It's just kind of common sense. If you're dealing with a person that you don't know what's going on with them, they appear and then all of a sudden they're gone. Clearly, you don't want to invest with that. But okay, so very good. So you've answered that question.
All right, let's do one more, because
last one,
Okay, and the last one, and that's it. And that's
people who keep coming and going.
Really my only. I don't really have any other questions. Portability, it's clear. You can it's portable across the world. You can put your money in a bit.
David Rankin, come join. I keep seeing you answer really freaking great answers to these questions in the chat. Come on stage and help us answer. He had some good examples of portability in terms of being able to grab your seed phrases, being able to move around the world, and being able to, I think that's what they mean by portability. So David, if you're not, you know, I know it's a family time evening right now, so if you're not like in the middle of dinner, come join us.
Just answering vigorously on his phone right now.
I think we've all been in that world. Oh, Alina. Oh, she dropped off the stage. Alina, thank you so much.
Great questions.
Great questions.
Great questions. Clarifications. I mean,
sure, we'll jump on a table together soon. Oh, David is coming on. Maybe you can say something. We also got Kevin.
He's got the background.
You know, Kevin keeps coming into the green room portion at the bottom and then vanishing. I don't know what's up with Kevin today. His connection. What's up, David? You're muted.
Hold on. Do I have to turn off my other one?
What's up with Kevin?
Yeah, you got to turn off Remo. While he figures it out, it's crazy how many people actually don't know that you can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. It's actually one of the big. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yes,
and it's why you still see people like I forget like his actual name, but like Parabolic. I forget his Twitter handle, but like you still see a lot of like the largest influencers like reminding people, and like they're kind of actually trying to like rebrand like Satoshi. Like they're trying to brand the smaller, you know, amount so that people start to get excited about that.
So I think David's mic is bleeding in, but he's also frozen. So I'll remove him off stage for now. But we only have a few minutes, and I want to go back to the QA because for whatever reason, I'm also having a connectivity issue. I think everybody's just overusing the global internet as we speak, if that's even a thing. Okay. Let's go back to the QA for a minute, okay? This one's a really, really important question, probably the most important one we've gotten all evening. It's specifically for John and Joe. So this one comes from John Dorfman. Where does LunarCRUSH sell their merch?
I'm starting a new line. I'm just gonna start printing it myself and bootlegging it. Like, you know, when you go to a concert and you're in the parking lot and some dude sells you like the $10 version of the t-shirt, I'm gonna start doing that because they don't have the website up.
So I'm gonna answer that one and just say that we kind of don't sell our merch. I mean, we kind of have a few things that we've created and we give out to, you know, friends, family, investors, that sort of thing. I'll just hint that in the future, we're going to be doing a lot more on that. And rewarding certain users with merchandise and that sort of thing. So stay tuned.
Amazing.
I.e., we have new merch coming very soon, and we have a ton of it, and it's epic.
Amazing.
Dude, so you guys just did the giveaway when you guys hit 100,000 followers on Twitter for those Moon Boy design t-shirts and sweatshirts. Those are so epic.
Those are not going to be for sale. Those are not going to be for sale. Those are, but we will get you one. We will definitely get you one. So those are very special edition, but we'll be doing a lot more in the future. Yeah. So much more to come on that.
Amazing.
Adam, by the way, you used an FBI negotiating tactic right there. I don't know if you noticed it or not. The tactic is to like come into the beginning of a conversation and actually scare someone with this is the most important question in all of crypto. And so like your body is getting ready to answer something very difficult. And then you just like, where's your merch at? You can use that with your in-laws when you're trying to break some news. Just say, I know you're going to be mad. I know you're going to be upset. And then you just come up with something really light. So good work there. You didn't even know you did it.
Thanks, man. You should see my past life before crypto. I was a Russian spy. Let's bring up Kevin. All right. Let's bring up Kevin. But Kevin's having connectivity issues. So I don't know if we're really bringing up Kevin.
Interwebs.
Well,
is Kevin going to be like that guest? What was the guest from one of the late night talk shows where they every night were going to bring on a guest and then didn't actually bring him on?
Yeah. Was that a David Letterman where they were, or someone were like, they're going to be here today, but they never were?
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin.
Kevin, you need to turn off Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Clubhouse is the best like networking anything ever.
What?
I mean, the amount of trust you gain like just by talking to someone, like it's helped me trust a lot of people more than otherwise it would have been like.
You know what's amazing? I just happened to look down at my notifications and I was like, all right, I popped into your Clubhouse room earlier, and it was about a very basic topic, which is delegating, right? And you think when you're in your space, you don't even think about it. It's just like it's like walking. But then you start to talk to people out there and it's like, wait, how does that work? What's proof of stake? Tell me how that works. Like there's basic questions, just like the question we were just addressing. No, you don't have to buy $38,000 of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
Right.
You can buy $50 worth. People still don't know.
Yeah. And in the same vein, I mean, in Tezos in the last couple of months has experienced I think the greatest growth incline since the very beginning. Even one NFT marketplace on Tezos right now has more daily active users, more sales, more minting, more transactions than every Ethereum NFT marketplace combined. It's almost number one for volume as well. All of a sudden, it's not even 3 months old. Holy crap. And also we have on the Tezos network overall, more bakers coming in at a faster rate than ever, more node operators. We have more wallets and funded wallets coming in. So just network worth of the growth of the community overall. And all the big DeFi stuff, it's really coming around the corner. As soon as we have a lending system in there with Tezos.finance, we'll really start to scale out the DeFi angle. And then it's like, what can you say? But like you mentioned, I mean, we've been at this for so long, we forgot what it's like to take the first steps and learn to walk. And I think even when it comes to our product design, like our wallets and all that, like it's, you don't know, like really, is this obvious to everybody? Or have we just like been so used to the personal conversation or the trial and error to the point that we got used to it, or the one-on-one where someone taught us something about how to delegate and how to, do this and that we're just kind of complacent that we totally forgot that. So I think that's why these conversations are so good. The other good thing about Clubhouse and things like it, I mean, about Clubhouse, it's not about the voice chat. You can get that everywhere. It's the discovery. It's that like new people are finding something that they never saw before, and then they're pollinating their different interests. Like, wow. And you get to talk to so many people so quickly just about it. So I've been doing a lot of that, just the grunt work of like teaching people, okay, what's Tezos? What's proof of stake? How is Tezos proof of stake different than that proof of stake? Is Ethereum proof of stake going to be like Tezos proof of stake? Is it Cardano going to be proof of stake? It's just like, so it sharpens like even my own mind and how I think about things, but like it makes me form them into these things, called words. that words that form an actual cohesive sentence that other people can understand outside of myself and my close circle. Like that's a really great, it's remarkable. But yeah, so, and even I had forgotten, because we onboarded so many people to these Tezos wallets and onto Tezos over the last couple of months. It's like, oh my God, dude, we forgot about the baking and the delegating. And then so I started asking even people who are like OGs at this point, like people who got on months ago, and then they've been onboarding people who have been onboarding people who have been onboarding people. I like, are you delegating your Tez? Like, no, what's that? Oh shit, I should have told you this. I'm so sorry. So now
what you're talking about is actually a really big piece of advice that I would give to everyone listening, and that is how important frequency is. Because when you say something one time, I mean, these social channels are moving so fast. You say something one time, you mentally think you're done. You think you said it to the community, right? Like you taught them this stuff. You're done. It's gone. Every day there's more people coming in. Your message is long gone. And so frequency is so important. And when we see the top influencers, I mean, these people are posting 50 times a day. And that's like that. Think about all the dedication that takes to post 50 times a day. And that's because
increase to 50 is what you're telling me. All right.
Well, I mean, maybe not that much, but I mean, if you're talking about teaching,
wait, they're posting tweets, like one tweet for every 2 times Kevin does a Clubhouse chat.
I mean, if you go back, I think it was like way back.
Still up there. Come on.
It was like Guy Kawasaki or whatever, like way back years ago, talking about this. How you post it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. It may not be exactly the same thing, but your post is gone. And you mentally think you got it done. You don't want to overpost. You don't want to annoy people, but most people haven't even seen it. So it's an interesting thing how this all works. And we just see it. We see the patterns. I mean, I'd say 20 to 50 times a day on the top influencers. These are the people with hundreds of thousands of followers.
I just get lazy and retweet my own tweet from like the day before because I'm like, not enough engagement on that one.
It's difficult. I mean, you gotta take a second look at this shit is fire, man. Come on.
I'm just saying what John said right there.
Sometimes there's that's kind of second wind. Scarface went into theaters, it flopped. It was open and closed the same weekend. But look what happened. Retweet your own tweets.
People always say Scarface was the Dogecoin of the movie industry.
That's trending.
Oh, yeah, but on Elon, I mean, there's quiet, he's going to look at proof of stake models. It was Vishak, who's on the stable team. He pointed out something that's kind of like, I think it's kind of obvious, but I mean, it's like, yeah, Elon Musk went down the crypto route like everybody goes down the crypto route. You start with Bitcoin because that's the most famous, it's the biggest and all that. Then you get into the stuff which is, store of value, simple enough, linear, but more fun. Dogecoin, fuck it, why not? And then, you start to think more about the technology, stuff that appeals to your values. And then you start to reassess and go, what am I actually doing here? What am I interested in? I went through all of that and then I landed on Tezos. I don't know. I'm not saying he will or whatever. Maybe he'll make a Tesla.
He just tweeted the Reddit for Dogecoin and said, please, start putting suggestions and innovations down. So I'm not quite sure he's going to migrate anywhere else outside of Dogecoin. I think he's going to press that button for the next couple of months, if I were going to guess.
I think this is a pretty big, like when we talk about, I mean, we see it too. The social activity of Tezos is like a rocket, just straight up this year. It's consistent. That's a beautiful thing versus like, I don't know, like someone at Tezos hiring a bunch of like 5 or 6 influencers to post for a week and then it's gone. It's consistent community growth. And so I think there's been this really, really interesting, fascinating narrative. Like you mentioned, Cardano. We see the same thing in Cardano. We see the same thing in like Polkadot and Kusama. But especially we see it in Matic Network or Polygon, which is the narrative is all about low fees and speed and building on top of low fees and speed. What's going to solve that? And everyone's looking for the next thing to solve that. And that's where we see increasing social activity across the board. Forget the project, across the board, we see it.
Right. I mean, they piggyback a lot off of just Ethereum. And I think especially where I've seen, like there's been rapid embrace of Tezos on the NFT front where the crypto conversation has been for the last few months. I mean, that's where the applied use cases and all that. But like the resistance of those coming to Tezos, even though it seems so obvious before even Polygon Matic option. It goes towards, I think, the sunk cost fallacy. It's more like, well, I spent this money on Ethereum. I've gone the deep commitment, telling me that could have been another economic choice. No. Let's stay on this course.
There's a few angles too. There's the communities exist on Ethereum. So if we're going to NFTs as an example, the people who've been around for a long time remember Tezos in 2017. And they saw what was going on, and then it acted like some of the other projects that sort of just leveled off and were very, whatever. And in their eyes, Tezos was a thing that launched, and nothing really ever happened. But nothing really did ever happen until now. That was very public and in your face and poking you every single day, the way the new platform is. Now with the NFT communities going from Rarible and OpenSea and what's going on the Ethereum network and everything else to Tezos, there's a certain level of like, that's where the money is. So it's like, even with all of the volume that's happening on Tezos, on Calumet, and Here and Now, and these other platforms, it's still the dollar values on average are so much lower. But they have to be in a way because of the fees and things like that. But if you're an artist, and you're hoping, everybody thinks that they're the man, right? Everybody thinks they're going to be the person who's going to sell the $1 million NFT. So why go to the place where I can earn a decent living? You want to go to the place where you're going to be the rock star, right? And so there's just a marketing perception or something until there becomes a few Tezos NFT artists who make $1 million NFT, or and then it can flip.
Yeah. If you go to nonfungible.com, you can see a list of marketplaces and their performance. They list them for the last 7 days. It's not as impressive as we necessarily imagine. I think Super Rare is kind of on the top there with 99 sales in the last 7 days, 1,469,000 over 7 days.
Wait, but
VFriends has topped the chart.
That's over 10 grand
right?
per NFT, right? And if I want to buy one $5 NFT on Rarible, but the thing is, if I want to buy a $5 NFT on Rarible, I pay $50 in fees or some crazy amount like that, which makes the $5 NFTs pointless. Like, you just don't do it, right? Yeah. So the only ones worth buying are the ones that are going to make you 10 grand.
Yeah. So I would suggest that the median artist revenue on Nunker Calumet is higher than any NFT platform, or their margin, whichever way you want to look at it, even revenue, because it's like there are people who they say like they go on OpenSea and they get more sales on Nunker Calumet than they got views on OpenSea. I think that's a big statement. More sales on these Tezos marketplaces than views on Calumet, and then on OpenSea. I think that's a really important point. Also, I'm glad you mentioned that, Alon. Like, if we look at the thing that happened a few years ago with like this crowd sale, that was the biggest crowd sale of all time, the Tezos crowd sale, $232 million in a few weeks in August, and then something happened and you didn't hear from it for a while. There was another project that had a crowd sale 1 month after Tezos had its crowd sale, September of 2017. And it raised $217 million. That project was Filecoin by Protocol Labs, who spent years and years developing what we now enjoy across every blockchain NFT marketplace, and that's IPFS. And really every application now, developers immediately, as soon as it came out, just like, yep, we're doing this in IPFS.
So what do you think is the difference then in do you think it's a marketing issue? Do you think it's actually execution? Because up until a couple months ago, there wasn't on-chain activity on Tezos.
I think we're seeing the fruits of the labor now, because the honest truth is this stuff takes years to get right. We launched Tezos mainnet 2018, like a year after September 2018, and then it took and still then it took another year to get through to like not just the the baking layer, but then the gossip layer and then the governance layer. And then so it wasn't until like 2 years until we're like, okay, now we're set. Now we have the Tezos thing that we imagined, and now we can start building stuff. Really, and then we had to okay, now we had a token standard. I mean, I was in there and like with those 2019 trying to like get the wallets. Okay, yeah, let's add the tokens to the wallets. Let's add them to the block explorers. Let's get a token economy going. And it wasn't until
how about add the tokens? So here's a conversation that I sort of overheard today, but was interested in learning about is, think about this. Not one Tezos project that has their own token on Tezos has their token listed on a centralized exchange. Not one, other than Tezos itself. So not one FA2 standard token, that's like the ERC20 for Tezos, has their token on a centralized exchange, which is interesting because every company I've heard that wants to get listed on a centralized exchange, the centralized exchange tries to get them to pay to integrate that token standard. But once that happens, I would imagine, and now I'm sort of making a prediction across the market, so I won't talk about any particular token, but I would imagine it would add immense value to the whole ecosystem, right? Once that happens to one token. So there's going to be some interesting things. I'm giving Kevin some shit here and there, but I just full disclosure, we're investors in Kevin's company and we're huge fans of Tezos. So, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate and also learn and understand myself. So we're beyond time, and we got to jump to the networking portion soon, right, Adam?
Let's wrap it up, guys. What a fruitful conversation. So many different topics. Really, Kevin, thank you for coming on. Joe, John, Alon, guys, cheers. Session 61 of Blockchain and Booze. Before I let everyone go, I got to quickly plug our other beloved media partner, Blockchain Radio. And Pierre and the team over there have been a long-time media partner to them. Shout out to Blockchain Radio. Go check them out. They basically syndicate the audio to their hundreds of thousands of listeners every single month. So cheers to Pierre and Blockchain Radio. Guys, session 61. Go to meet.blockchainbooze.io, my favorite part of Blockchain and Booze, where we congregate, turn on our cameras, turn on our microphones, drink, network, hang out, laugh, and meet everybody that's been watching live. So meet.blockchainbooze.io. Go there or be square. Hold on. What is that, Alon? What are we saying?
I'm practicing for the tattoo I'm going to give Joe when LunarCRUSH becomes a $10 billion company.
Only 10, not 100.
Meet.blockchainbooze.io. This is the most gangster I've ever seen Alon.
It's
all
the
we're
hat.
missing. Yeah, it's
The
all
hat.
we're missing
Yeah,
is the
put on his
teardrops.
hat and something changes.
Guys, next week we got a fun session with Sam Bankman-Fried and the guys at Solana. So that's going to be really, really cool. So join in next week. This was session 61. Meet.blockchainbooze.io. Go there or be square. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you in there.